And welcome back, my peeps. How you guys doing? It's been a little while, hasn't it? But holy crap, look at you all. Wow, there's a lot of you. And damn, do we ever have a good looking crew. And on this episode of the DIY van build, we've decided that the water lines that need to go to our heater, that go to our shower and our kitchen, need to go underneath the floor. Which means we need to pull this whole floor back up. Now you might be thinking, what the heck is this guy doing? I agree. But at the end of the video, maybe we'll come back and talk about some of this, because some of you have expressed interest in the struggles. But for right now, we're going to jump right into the meat and potatoes of the video and show you how we put these water lines underneath our floor. Now, if you've been following along, you already know that the insulation we chose was 1.5 inch thick XPS foam insulation board. And this is what our hose lines need to fit into and be completely flat so our floor can go right over top of them. Which is good though, because you'll see it still leaves a lot of insulation underneath that hose to ensure nothing's going to freeze if it does get cold outside and we're there with our van. Now the water line we chose is 1/2 inch PEX water line. Now I've gone with a red one and a blue one just for easy knowledge of when they're run. I know red is hot, blue is cold. Keeps it nice and simple. So you'll see what we've done here is we've taken those straight lines, we've run a blue one and a red one through where it's going to go underneath the floor to our heating system. And we've run our blue and red one on this side that's going to go underneath the shower pan, ensuring it doesn't interfere with our drain. And it's going to be able to go all the way down through. So now what we're going to do is, you'll see here, we've gone and marked those spots on our styrofoam insulation. Then we're just going to use our utility knife, sticking out 1/2 inch. We're just going to cut a V-shaped groove on both sides of those lines. Once we have the V groove cut out, we'll use our finger and our knife to slowly carve this out into a nice U shape, which is going to fit our hose down into the floor nice and flush, to the point where our floor will fit right over top without interfering with our lines. And for the lines to come back up out of the floor, we got these U-bend helpers for our 1/2 inch PEX, which just clip onto the hose and bend to a nice safe 90-degree bend so we can lift that hose back straight up out of the floor. But before putting the floor permanently back in and the piping in, we did take some Reflectix tape and just tape down through this groove just to keep the vapor barrier solid all the way across the whole floor like we did originally. Now for these two pipes coming underneath the shower, this is where it gets a little tricky because of the fact on this side I can have them come up like we did with those bends, but on this side we have to use, or what I've decided to use was SharkBite fittings, which literally just push on. You make sure you got a nice clean cut on the end, and they'll literally just push on to the end, until they click. And once they click, they're on there, they don't come back off. And then it'll just sit inside there, and our water come through and then go straight up to our shower. But where it is that I'm putting all my faith into two little push-on fittings, because once we get our shower pan and everything down inside here, these are not accessible. So if they leak, we're in trouble. So I keep stalling. Now from what I understand, a fitting like this should last forever, right? And I can't bend it the same as what I did this. This is the wall where the batteries all are, and this is the back of the toilet. That's the only gap I have to come up through. You know what I'm saying? I think I just gotta trust, the tool. I know it's assembled properly. That would suck. Anyways, moving forward. And there we go. All our water lines are in. Snug as a bug in a rug. We got our ones that go across for our kitchen sink, as well as our ones over here for our shower. And you'll notice that I did separate the cold line from the hot line. The reason is if these were touching together, you wouldn't end up with cold or hot water. They'd just be warm, both of them, because the heat would transfer between the two lines, wrecking the temperature of your water that you want. But because these lines are underneath the floor and there's not a lot of airflow underneath there, I was still a little worried. Now, these are 1/2-inch lines and our insulation is 1.5 inches. So when we cut this groove, it still leaves an inch of insulation underneath here, but it will be cold and there's not a lot of air transfer, as I'm saying. So what I've done, because this red line is always going to be hot, it will emit heat from these lines. So I've made these grooves in a couple little sections in which the heat that emits off of these hot lines can transfer through, just ensuring that in -30 weather, it's going to keep them warm enough that they will not freeze on us. Now our plan is not to be in -30 for a long time, but heck, if we're on a ski trip and we are there for a day or two, I just want to ensure that we do have a 4-season van. We're not going to have a problem. Now you will see with this line here, it is a solid line, so I will be able to, if we ever cracked a line, I would be able to feed the line out and put another one through if need be. And also on the shower one that we talked about, so on this side where we put these SharkBite fittings, I will have a trap door here, I've decided, in which if we did ever crack this line, we'll be able to squeeze it out and pull it through if absolutely needed. Now I'm not saying it would be easy, but I am saying it'll be doable. So if we ever cracked a line or ended up with a leaky fitting, we could fix the problem. Of course, I did those exact same type of heat transfer grooves across here to ensure that this cold line isn't going to freeze either in the cold weather. It should honestly transfer enough heat to keep this warm enough without actually changing the temperature of this water, because once this floor is down flat here, it's all going to be sealed in, so that heat will be able to transfer through, just keeping it warm enough. Make sense? I think we got a stellar plan here, my friends. So now, let's put a floor down. So I'm just going to use a piece of cardboard. I'm going to cut out a stencil around our spots where these hoses need to come up through the floor. And then once all those holes are cut into our subfloor, we're just going to lay that down as well as our flooring the exact same way we did in this video right here. So for you guys on this video, I'm just going to snap my fingers and boom, we're right back to where we were when we started this whole video. So we have these ones that go underneath our floor and come back up this side, so it can go from our water tank up. The blue can now split and go down to the heater system and then come back to the top, so then you'll have hot and cold. These ones, you'll have the cold and the hot go down underneath the toilet, come back up the other side. As you can see, we do still have access to these, so we can fit the little SharkBite tool in behind there, pop it off and pop a new one on if we ever needed to, but that shouldn't be a situation. Those are brand new, they're SharkBite, they should be good for the rest of the life of this van, no doubt about it. And then leaving these sections open along with those grooves that we put into the section between the red and the cold, it'll also let a little bit of heat down in there, just ensuring we're not going to get any frozen lines. But that's a completed project, my friends. What'd you think? Maybe leave us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Is there something we should have done different? You tell me down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe hit that button, even that bell. Now, for those of you that are interested in the story as to why did we pull this back apart again? Why did we have to backtrack? Well, the main reason is our videos. By the time we finished that floor when we did it, this is what we wanted to do originally. But when we were working on the floor, it was like midnight by the time we finished this floor job. And we still had to make a video that needed to go out on the Sunday because we were promising Sunday videos at the time. Once I realized I didn't have the time to measure that all out and get it done in that video, I came up with an alternative plan, which was, so for our shower tank, our line was going to get pumped straight out from the front of the tank, across through our heater system, and right up the front wall of the shower. Easy peasy. And for our kitchen tap water, the water would get pumped out of this tank, around the backside, up to the heater, and then all the way back around to our kitchen sink. But both those changes had their flaws. So the shower water, if the water lines come up to the front wall of the shower on this side, so your shower head's here, when you're standing there trying to wash or sit on the toilet, you're going to be staring straight at the shower head. And I don't know how comfortable that'll be trying to shower with it like that. It's a pretty small area, as you can see. And problem number two, when I was doing the measurements on these hoses, on how many bends and how far they have to travel When I used a flow conversion chart for headwater on your pump, I realized by the time it goes all the way around to the heater and then back to the kitchen sink, we're only going to end up with like 6 psi of water pressure on our hot water. And that just seemed unacceptable. And one of the benefits to making our own van is that we don't have to settle for little problems like that. So we went back and did it the way it should have been done if we weren't trying to push and get a video out instead of just taking our time. Now there are also 2 other small little details that I feel are pretty important that didn't get finished for the exact same reason. We were just trying to get that video out there. So these 2 things we did as well. So for our end cap that we had made in our floor video to cap off the rear and the front of our floors, we ended up putting this U-shape gasket material on, which is a bulb type gasket, in which when we've now pressed this end cap down, it now makes a perfect seal along our plastic here so that no water can leak in there underneath the floors for, say, if the doors were open and it was raining. As well, when we did our framing and we made these posts to mount all our framing down to our floor, we needed rubber to go in between these 2 mounts, and that hadn't shown up, and we had to get our video completed for that week. Now my rubber has shown up, so I've cut out a square, exact same size as our post. Then we set that down inside and put our clamp over top that, and then drive our bolt down inside. It's just going to kind of help with the thermal bridging. It's going to reduce it from the floor to that aluminum post to our aluminum framing. That rubber matting will just help reduce that bridging that happens between there and not letting heat transfer through the aluminum floors. Sorry, frame. I am not making a decision between the van and a video anymore. The van is number 1, and then we get the video out, which sucks because it's the video part that I enjoy the most about this. But it's all about priorities, you know? So now I gotta work on that drain and get our gray tank and all that stuff installed. But that's a story for our next video, my friends, because this one is complete and it's another video in the banks. So if you've made it this far, you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing so. No pressure, of course. You do you. But it is completely free. It does mean the world to me. And we're almost at 1,000 subscribers, my friends. 950 subscribers. Like, holy crap. Who would have ever saw that coming? So, if you have subscribed, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe share, maybe like, anything like that. Even a comment is always great. But we're out of here, peeps. And we will see you on the next video. Perfect.